This is Behind the Swipe, the podcast that takes you inside the lives of real men and women over 40 who have taken the plunge into the often murky and sometimes exhilarating world of online dating. Each week, we explore new topics through the experiences and expectations of real online daters just like you. I'm your host, Hoyt Prisock. Join me as we peel back the one-dimensional dating profiles to discover the real men and women behind the swipe. Welcome back to a new season of Behind the Swipe. We're back from a way too long holiday break and ready to start the new year with a slate of new shows and fascinating guests that I think you'll really enjoy. This season, we'll talk about getting into your discomfort zone, navigating the challenges and rewards of sex after 50, how understanding attachment styles can improve your dating life, and much more. I can't wait to share these conversations with you. But today, we're going to talk about online dating scams. To hear the media headlines, online dating sites are overrun with bad actors trying to raid your bank account and break your heart. The message is, be afraid. Be very afraid. So, what's the truth? How suspicious should you really be about that person who just swiped right on you? This episode is about catfish. And no, not the kind that's snuggled up next to your hush puppies at Red Lobster. Catfishing is defined as presenting a stolen, cloned, or otherwise false identity with the intent of tricking unsuspecting and otherwise vulnerable online daters into believing that they're in a real romantic relationship. The worst of these catfishers are highly skilled at and incredibly methodical in manipulating romantic feelings. Ultimately, they weave tales of tragedy and misfortune designed to elicit both your sympathy and your financial support. Sounds terrible, right? The good news is, a few simple precautions on your part can all but immunize you from these kinds of scammers. So to help us understand this and chart a path to a healthy and trustworthy relationship online, I'm joined today by Bradley Richardson. Bradley is the creator of Advanced Adulting, where he coaches and creates content to help grown-ass adults navigate the shifts and changes of midlife. He's a 5-time best-selling author, speaker, coach, and executive who's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Rolling Stone, Good Morning America, NPR, and more. Bradley's a 50-something fifth-generation Texan and father of 3 grown kids. He lives in Dallas, Texas, and he can be found across social media and at the web at I am Bradley Richardson. Bradley Richardson, welcome to Behind the Swipe once again.
This is like, it's becoming a regular thing. I kind of like it. Coming home or
I
talking
like
to my buddy.
And so do our listeners. They love it. So let's do this. I am so happy to have you on here in the inaugural episode of season 2 for Behind the Swipe. And today's topic, honestly, Bradley, it's one I've been avoiding. And people have been asking for this, and they've been talking about this for a long time. And it's about scams and online dating. And the reason that I've been hesitant to actually do an episode on this is because it feels like something that's really scary and nefarious, and there are guys out to get you. And you know what? There are, but it's like, to me, it's kind of like driving a car, right? It's like, yes, you're kind of taking a risk. You get behind the wheel, you're taking a risk. You're walking down the street, you're crossing the crosswalk, you're taking a risk. And so I don't want to blow it out of proportion, yet I do think that we ought to really dig into this.
Absolutely. It is an important topic, and I understand the hesitation. And that hesitation is not only something that you experienced on wanting to talk about this, but that's the hesitation for so many people in midlife about even dating in general, and especially dating online on apps. I mean, look, one of the most popular memes I put out there, so thousands and thousands of people jumped on this because I said dating in midlife is like the adult version of the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. It's kind of fun and kind of gross. And the gross portion of it is, oh my God, I don't want to be, there are all these scammers and dishonest people. And Yeah, there are. And there are some amazing people. But I think one of the things, and you and I have talked a lot about this offline, and we could talk in a minute how we came on this subject now, but there's always going to be bad people out there. Always gonna be bad people out there who want to break into your home. Okay. But that doesn't mean you don't lock the door, right? Okay. They're going to happen. It's the same thing. There are going to be people out there who are scummy and dishonest and try and scam you. But oddly enough, these are not the people who are sitting across town from you. And we're going to talk about that. I mean, and how they do it and why they do it and who they target. You're going to hear me talk a lot about this, and this may be kind of a punch in the nose for a lot of people. But you can't stop someone from trying, but you can prevent it from happening to you. And we're going to talk a lot about this because you have a lot of power and a lot of responsibility in having it happen. So,
No,
it's all
I agree with that completely. So I was looking up in research for this episode, I was looking up, does anybody have good statistics on this? And of course, the dating sites themselves, the Matches and the Bumbles and the eHarmonies, they don't really want to talk about this, right? They don't want to
no.
talk about it at all, right? So where you're getting your data from is other sources. Like there are online resources that help you research people, and they've got an axe to grind, and they're trying to promote their own thing, right? But I saw a statistic that actually shocked me. And that statistic, which by the way, I don't believe, says that, 34% of men on dating sites have catfish and 20% of women. And well, first of all, let's define, because we can talk about a bunch
Sure.
of different scams, right? But the one
Sure.
that I think is most nefarious here is this concept of catfishing. So before we get into those stats here and what they really mean and why they're probably not true, tell me what your understanding of catfishing is.
My understanding and my experience with catfishing is pretending to be someone you're not. Okay. An alias, a false identity, using someone else's pictures or likeness and pretending that you are them. That's it. This does not mean, okay. Now look, for new listeners here, I mean, look, I have on social media, I have probably about 250,000 people that follow, and a good chunk of them, I'd say probably 7% of them are women. And so I hear a lot of, well, you know what? He wasn't what he said he would. He showed up like, he said he was 6 foot, and he was 5'8". That's not catfishing. Okay. That's just lying. Catfishing is something where they're using someone else's picture, having a false name or claiming to be that person. And they're not. It is basic, in a loose term, identity theft.
Yes.
In a way. That is what catfishing is making you believe that they are someone else. Largely in online, whether it's Facebook, whether it's a dating app, whether it's Instagram, whatever, largely through the use of copied, pirated, or cloned pictures. That's it.
And so let me sort of draw the line on, because this, like everything else, is the egregiousness here is on a spectrum, right? It's like, all right, when you think about this, you think about somebody that's trying to play a confidence game, somebody
Correct.
that's trying to get money out of you. And so that, if you look at that on the far end of the spectrum, that's the most nefarious behavior out there. And then you come down the spectrum to somebody that's just, they don't have any real negative means. They're just trying to entertain themselves by taking on this other persona and kind of living vicariously through someone that they're not. So yes, false. Yes, it's lying to people online, and it's gaining their confidence online. Right. But it's also not like they're trying to drain your bank account.
Well, yes, you're right. Those are the two bookends on the spectrum. And my experience with this is that, again, you can throw any stat or percentage out there, but anecdotally, my experience with this is I'd say probably 90% of it is in the extreme nefarious situation where they are looking to get cash out of someone.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, this isn't like when we were kids, okay, and you prank call somebody just for fun. Okay. This is like a harmless prank. I mean, they're going to extreme lengths, deep fakes, very well thought out plans of trying to gain someone's confidence, to dupe them in a long term, a long tail play to get money, to get them to send something, to get gift cards. And we can talk about that in a little bit about how that is structured and what that really looks like.
Yep.
But, you know, it's more, it is nefarious, but it is also more methodical than you think. I don't think I really don't see a lot of people out there just joyriding for kicks of, I want to try and be someone else because God knows she's not going to talk to me. But if I pretend I'm Hoyt,
Yeah.
she'll talk to me.
Yeah.
Maybe some sociopaths out there, but for the most part, it's really much more devious than that. But here's the thing, and then we're going to talk about that. Once you know what to look for, it's so obvious. I mean, that's just it. If you've never experienced it, you're like, oh, what is it? Once you see it, or once you know what to look for and how it works, you're gonna see it coming a mile away.
So in the second half of today's show, I want to get into exactly what you can do to make sure that this doesn't happen with you. And here's why I think that's important. Because the presence of this kind of behavior online should not be the reason that you don't get in the pool, right? It should
Absolutely
never be the reason that you're going to lock your heart away because there are, 1/10 of 1% bad people in the world.
Oh my God. Well, look, you're exactly right. And that is a much bigger issue. That is not just for scammers, but that's for, oh my God, I was cheated on. I'll never do this again. I went on 2 bad dates. I'll never do this again. I'm going to become an agoraphobe. I mean, you're an idiot. I mean, that you're hurting yourself on that. So it's not just, are there crappy people? Are there bad dates? Are there rude people? Are there scammers? Yes, there are. There are also amazing and wonderful people out there. And you're a grown-ass person. My whole thing with advanced adulting is helping grown-ass adults navigate midlife. And part of that means, hey, taking a little responsibility, not being a victim, and being smart enough and grown up enough to be able to tell, hey, this doesn't smell right. It's not. If it doesn't, oftentimes it's not. And that means taking some responsibility. People don't like to hear that. It's a whole thing. Oh my God. It's much easier to blame men and women. But if you take a little responsibility, you can protect yourself and, very quickly weed out the bad stuff and get the
100%. 100%. Bradley, you and I talked last week and you were telling me a story, and this is really why we're doing this session today, is because I was fascinated with the story, because I know that in the counseling and coaching that you do and some of the courses that you teach, you've come across cases where some of your clients, right, have been the victim of this or nearly a victim of this, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so I want to hear a little bit about that. But the other side of this, I think, is fascinating. The other side is that more than once, your profile has been co-opted. Your identity has been stolen for the purposes of catfishing. Tell me that story.
Oh my God. It's more than once. I kid you not, Hoyt. This happens to me about, I'd say, close to 20 times a year. Okay. 20 times a year where I get some sort of direct message, email, something saying either, hey, someone is using your pictures, okay, or posing as someone else, or someone is posing as you, okay? Or and those are the minor examples. I have gotten examples of people saying, and then where this came up from was last week, okay, and I've had probably at least 5 or 6 of these happen, and it's sad and unfortunate. But a woman reached out, I ended up finding the emails, okay, but she had reached out to me, and she also reached out to my girlfriend Shannon. Somehow sleuthed around and did this. And she had been catfished. Some guy had used my pictures and created a false name and his backstory. We'll talk about the backstories because they're a common thread in the backstories. Used my pictures to strike a text relationship with this woman. She fell in love with him, okay, despite never meeting him. Somebody never speaking to him on the phone, okay? But via text. And then he presses her to send money. And she, like an idiot, did. And she's out thousands of dollars. Yeah. That is a common thing again and again and again. And here's the deal. I've even found these profiles. Okay. I'm sitting there going, oh, look at that good looking guy. Well, it's me. it's a different name out there. And that's how they often do it, is they take pictures of other people and they will weave a crazy story that is somewhat related. So there are pictures out there and profiles of me and my face. Okay. Me and my face, my children, my dog. Okay. And it will be some crazy, it'll oftentimes be a foreign name. Okay. Or a foreigner. Okay. Some simple name. And woven with a widow. Okay. Oftentimes they're widows or widowers. Okay.
Yeah.
Theme. And they live abroad. Okay. And there's enough of a shred of truth to things. Like, oh, well, I have 3 kids. And they go overboard. Okay. It's like a super bad Hallmark movie. So what I mean by that, okay. And look, if you really speak this way, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of you, but it's just things that the hyperbole in these things are crazy. So the profile will read like, Henrik Johnson. Okay. My pictures or some other's pictures. It won't be many of them. The Henrik Johnson. I'm a God-fearing, Jesus-loving man who's just looking for love after I lost my wife. Okay. Oh, or I live for my children in Jesus. It's stuff like that, and they're just tugging and playing. And it's just, it's funny because I have tried, I know I'm going all over the place on this, but is that illegal? I'm sure it's illegal, because people, like this woman last week, she goes, you need to call the cops on this. Well, honey, I don't need to do shit. I really don't need to do anything on this because it's unfortunate. But all they did was use my pictures. Am I mad about it? Is it wrong? Is it immoral? Is it, yes. Is it illegal? I'm sure somewhere it is, but I'm not going to I can't get charges up on anybody. They're not doing anything or taking money from me. So I can't do it. I'm sorry that it happened to you. Okay. And we'll talk about how she can prevent. But, it's, you go to the social media companies. Okay. And they don't do shit. They have an AI. They have a program reading it. So I have actually, anytime you see something like this, I see these pictures of me or people say, hey, Bradley, here's a profile. You need to know about it. Please report it. Please report it to Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And then I've even done that. And I'll say, hey, they're using my picture. They're using my children. I've had it. And I had one about a year ago where they had taken my picture and superimposed it on a Danish passport. Okay. So the tech is that good. And the social media companies, they don't give a shit. So, I'll report it and they'll say, I'll report. Occasionally they'll remove it. Sometimes they won't. But, and then on dating apps, they're all over the dating apps. Okay. And just, for any listener there that sees my picture on a dating app, I'm not. I'm happily in a relationship. Haven't been on a dating app in forever. But, just report it. It's sad. It's unfortunate. And it happens. And when it first happened, the first few times, I had a couple of people go, well, Bradley, you should be flattered by this. I'm not flattered by this. Now, granted, it's a mixed bag. Okay. They don't think I'm ugly and can scare animals and small children here. So they use my pictures, but still it's unfortunate that it happens and who they target and how it happens. I think that's probably the most nefarious part of it right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in your assessment, does that mean for you, this is just something that you have to live with in the environment?
For me as the person whose pictures they're lifting? Yes. Yeah. At first, the first few times, and this has been going on for years. Okay. First few times it happened. One, I was genuinely pissed off, genuinely outraged. And I'm like, oh, well, let's engage them. And who is this? Who do you think you are? Okay. When you find out, we haven't gotten there. We'll talk about it in a second. It will do you 0.0 good. Okay. Because who you think it is not. Okay. We think it's someone in America. We think it is someone who, this hacker that's sitting here in, somewhere in Iowa, who's trying to figure all your stuff out. It's not. Okay. And so when you realize,
in a lot of ways, this is kind of the evolution of the Nigerian prince game, right?
Well, I'm glad you said that. It is the Nigerian prince game. It is the same thing. I mean, and these are facts, okay? This is not some crazy anecdotal stuff, because when I dug into this about how the hell are they getting all my stuff? And I had so many, okay? And there's a couple of friends of mine too. People have lifted their pictures and done them. Here, let me tell you how they work, okay? Now, this is not a universal truth, but there are several organizations out there. Like there's a couple ladies in the UK. I think it's called Scam Haters United. And what they do is they have been scammed before, and so they have made it their mission to fight scammers. And there's several like that. So I've talked to these groups, and what they do is they have tracked it down. So you say the Nigerian prince thing, and that is true. So oftentimes these are gangs of sorts in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Uganda, okay, and other African nations, and some other places sometimes too. But it's mostly in Africa, and Nigeria being the primary one. And they will have these, they told me they end up having these farms, for lack of a better word. So it's like a giant warehouse, oftentimes with teenage boys, okay? Teenage boys and girls. They teach enough English to be able to interact online with you and text back and forth. And they are taking pictures and creating fake profiles and reaching out to a certain demographic of people, certain types of people with that. So they're creating all these cloned and fake profiles using pictures. And what they're trying to do is create a connection, engagement, and ultimately they will ask for money in the form of either wire transfers or gift cards. And so it is it is exactly as you said. It's the Nigerian scam thing. Please, I have 80 million in a trust. Give me your bank account. Instead, it's a little longer play of, oh gosh, you know what? I'm a good looking widower who's working on an oil rig in Venezuela or on a engineering project in the outback in Australia. And I've never felt this way before. And I've never felt a connection like this before. And you know what? Unfortunately, I have to get home to see my kids and I can't. I'm short money. Can you send this to me? Oh, that's how it works. That's exactly how it works. And it cracks me up. It's organized crime. It is organized crime. It is not someone sitting in their basement there, just with a cat. This is not. It's
at
much
the end
more.
at the end of the day, Bradley, it also tends to take advantage of some of the most emotionally vulnerable people in our community, right? Because if you're on the dating sites, you are typically looking for that deep romantic relationship. It's something that you're hoping for, you're striving for.
Sure.
And so when you see those and you see a level of interest from somebody that appears to be close to the ideal of what you're looking for, and they're telling you all these great things, you're telling yourself, you're like shutting down a lot of these voices that are saying, no, don't do that.
You were driving by those red flags. I mean, you just, didn't see it. Nope, missed that one. And here's the thing, you hit it on the head with the demographic that the unfortunate demographic that they choose. And this is, I'll give you a bullet list in a second, but basically they're targeting people who have obviously and stated their loneliness, their need for companionship, need for connection, need for love, and oftentimes people who have recently lost a loved one or are recently widowed. That is it. And I tell anyone I work with, any client, anybody in general, do not put out there that you've recently lost someone, you're a widow or a widower, that you are just seeking a companion. Don't seek anything that you're lonely. It doesn't. It may make sense. I get it. I really do, especially in this whole marketing world of things, and that's just being honest. I get it. You want to be honest and truthful and put yourself out there, but that you're making yourself a target, because what it says is, hey, I'm lonely. I just want to be loved. And that may be true, and that's okay. But what these people they are preying upon that. And what they're doing And oftentimes they prey upon, women who are older, okay,
Yep.
of a certain age, who have expressed that. Yeah, and again, this is not going to be a popular, politically correct comment, but the fact of the matter is, they're not going to pick someone who's terribly attractive or kept up.
Yep.
Okay, and the reason for that is because they swoop in with this kind of over romanticized. Remember the old, we're talking to a certain group. Remember the old, the Heaving Bosom novel, the Harlequin romance novels. That type of thing of the, oh my God, it's the handsome person from abroad who swoops in and finds you and just really sees you for you and love bombs the living hell out of you. Okay. And I guess that's the thing. I mean, let's be honest here. Okay. In your universe, okay, of your, 55, 65 years old, whatever, is there a pattern? I'm sure you're a wonderful, awesome, amazing human being. I'm sure you are very attractive. But do you have a track record of handsome, dashing, world traveling rock stars here beating your door down? Then suddenly this guy just picks you out and starts love bombing you online. Okay, it can happen. But realistically, you just it's kind of, and let's flip it. Let's flip it here to the male thing, okay? Because how that looks is it's the hot young thing, okay? Hey, handsome. Hey, good looking. What's going on? And they start sending shit. And who doesn't? Hey, I feel like I've got it. I feel pretty attractive. I feel wanted. I feel loved. I feel needed.
Yeah.
The key is this, and we can talk in a second. I mean, I'll go any direction you want to go on this, Hoyt. But I mean, it's I feel like a free range chicken right now, just being able to go on these different topics.
You're at your best when you're a free range chicken, my man.
I really am. I know. Strap in. We fall victim for that stuff. Okay, everybody does, and they know it and they see it. Rarely do the dots ever connect. Okay, really. I mean, I had one client. And God love her. She's a wonderful, sweet, amazing woman. She is older and she lives in the Midwest. And she was like, Bradley, I met this guy online. And she starts telling me, and she goes, but I'm just curious. And so I walked her down this and go, all right, so is he a widower? Yeah. Okay. Does he live abroad? Yeah, he's in Venezuela. Okay. Is he an engineer? Is he of this? Is he a pilot, an engineer, work on an oil rig? Yeah, works on an oil rig. Okay. I mean, I know this shit. I'm just going down the path. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to say.
You're short for a tarot reading or something, right?
Oh yeah. I look like, Madam Kulu or whatever her name was, but, it was, she's like, yeah. I said, I don't want to say he's fake. Okay. But have you ever spoken to him? No, we've just shared all these long texts and messages. And he's busy and then the time changes are different. I can't talk. Oh, okay. Got it. And, so I said, all right, let's assume that he's for real, which he's not, but let's assume that he is. Is there any universe where you're going to move to Venezuela? Well, no. Then girl, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing here talking with this guy? And it's that type of thing, but we get caught up in the romance of it. We get caught up in the excitement of it that we just miss anything that is real. Okay. And then that's when it is, they get you when you're vulnerable and ask for the money. I think that's the hardest part right there is they prey on these people and these people fall in their minds in love. Okay. Yeah. And you hit it right there. They're prey on the weakest people. Okay. Now let me back up. They're going to hit everybody up. Okay. They're going to hit everyone up. Okay. But the people that fall for it, I understand why. Okay. And if you've thought about it, whatever, it's not a bad thing. Okay. I mean, it shows you're human and you have a big heart. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I encourage people is to have some, dare I say, common sense with it. And again, if you don't know what to look for, I get it. Okay. I get it. But, yeah, there's so much to it. What do you want to know next?
Let's talk about the characteristics of a profile that is from a catfisher, and it should start to look a little catfishy, right?
It should smell like catfish. Is that it?
Like
yes.
Catfish, bottom feed, all that kind of stuff, right? So you talked a little bit about the profile and the photos that they might be too good to be true.
Right.
They're kind of superficial in some
Mhm.
ways. Are there anything else about the pictures themselves might
Yes.
that ought to set your alarms off?
Yeah, absolutely. One, on any social media, if the account is new, okay, on most social media, on most Facebook and Instagram, I know you can go in on the upper right hand corner, the three dots. I think you can look and see the age of the account. If the account has been set up within the past few months or past year, that's a giant red flag, massive red flag. Secondarily, if you look and see when the pictures uh, were posted, if you see a huge amount of pictures that are new, okay, like most of the pictures were posted within a 2-week period, giant red flag. Not even red flag. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you. I'd say 99 out of 100 times it's a scam. Okay. So it's not like they have an aged account or that they've been posting this over their life. No, it's like, okay, I went in, I grabbed 50 pictures from Bradley's account and boom, I plastered them all up there over a 3-day span.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Super unrealistic, sappy descriptions. Like I said earlier, the things you just kind of go, no one, and I'm speaking for America, okay? No one in America speaks this way. Okay. You just
Yeah.
kind of go, well, all right. Um, broken English, okay, is another one. Okay. And that's not a judgment, that's just a fact. I mean, if you go, there are some hardcore typographical errors in this. There are some hardcore syntax errors in this that just don't make sense. Okay.
Which ought to be,
Um,
in my opinion, ought to be a red flag even for even if
well,
even if this is not a catfisher on the other end of the screen.
yeah, of course. And now we're going to sound like assholes, right? Look, you need to know the difference between your and two, two and two. Okay. I don't care where you went to school. That's it. But, yeah, I mean, if you're like, this just doesn't sound right. And here's the deal. Those are in profiles. But what that happens is if they start engaging you, okay, and look, there are people that you and I know. I mean, intelligent, successful people in Atlanta who I know have fallen for this. Now they caught it. Okay. But these people are really good. And so the obvious ones are where you just kind of go, dude, it just doesn't make sense. Okay. But sometimes, or the excessive love bombing.
Yeah.
Okay. Or things that just are nonsensical. But let's say that they're pretty good. And you're getting in a conversation. All right. Ask them specifics about if they say they're in the same town or place ask them specifics. Okay. So I'll use the Atlanta example. Okay. There's someone there. Person could, where do you live? Oh, I live in and around Buckhead. Oh, okay. Great. Where do you like to go? Oh, and they'll mention a place because they may be looking at a map. Great. Okay. Well, then if you throw something out, oh, well, really, what about when such and such closed? And they have no idea. Okay. You could ask them things like that about specifics of the area that you're in. Okay.
Yeah.
The most important thing though, and this is a good rule, I don't care, scammers, dating, whatever. The point is, do you want an online pen pal or do you want a relationship? Okay. The point for anybody is, and this whole thing is behind the swipe. We swipe to identify a person we potentially want to have a conversation and maybe a relationship with. So the idea is to get the hell off the app.
Yeah.
So unless you want a permanent pen pal, a lot of these people will keep you talking forever. I recommend to anybody, 3 is kind of my magic number. Okay. There need to be at least 3 back and forth, 3 interactions before you get on the phone, a FaceTime, or in person. And that should be it.
So some of the other behaviors that I've heard about that come with this scam are that the setup comes pretty early, that this person has a lot of drama in their life, right? Whether that's there have been tragedies, crises, big decisions that they've got, something's hanging over them, right? Is that
because they want they're trying to get you hooked. It's like, and when you say a quick, what I've found is usually within a matter of a couple of weeks. A couple of weeks is about the perfect time frame. A couple of weeks to 30 days.
Yeah.
You've either figured it out or screwed up by 6 weeks to 2 months in. But, so it sounds like a long time, but it's not because
Yeah.
there's kind of a setup involved with it,
Right.
of, hey, good morning. They get you into that familiarity. Oh, well, gosh, we spent hours talking back and forth. Did you? Well, this is another one. I'll talk to people and they go, well, we talked for hours. Did you talk? Did you really talk to them? No, we texted. You didn't talk shit. You did not have any interaction with this person whatsoever. Okay. You're talking to, the 17-year-old in Nigeria there who's on the clock. That's what you did. Okay. And so they feel really, sorry, but that's it.
Yeah.
Talking is like, look, we're of a certain age. Talking is the old school, pick up the phone. Talking is at least, hey, get on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Get on a Zoom
Yeah.
call with me. I want to see you. I want to see you move. I want to see you speak and interact. Okay. Some stuff can be deep faked. Some stuff has gotten really, really good. Okay. But that's why
And
I
it's
say
only
that
going to get better. Yeah.
it's only going to get better. But I think if someone isn't willing to or can it repeatedly is unable to get on something impromptu with you, it's a red flag. Big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So what about this characteristic of these behaviors within the scam of a tendency towards secrecy and isolation, where they will discourage you from talking to your friends about this new relationship and try to keep it buttoned up, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen some of that. I've had this happen about 3 times where adult children, okay, will reach out to me and say, "You need to talk to my mom." I go, "I don't need to talk to your mom." Why? They go, "Well, because she's fallen in love with you, but the guy's name is like, you know, John Hernquist or something, and she doesn't believe." And look, I'm very easy to find. Okay, you can Google me, do whatever. I'm everywhere as me. So
Yeah.
I have that luxury, and I made the choice long ago because some people are like, "I'm going to put everything on lockdown." Well, one, I'm in social media and content. That's what I do. But you know, it's very easy to someone who sees my picture or anything else, so they go, "Oh, he's in a relationship. Here's what he does. Here's his name. Here's this." But I think the point to your point, there's a lot of people who they'll go to a family member, and the family member will point out to them, "No, just be careful. No, you're getting scammed. No, this is wrong." And they get these people hooked, and it's sad because they just want to be loved. They haven't been in so long. Their husband or wife had passed. They have been alone forever, and someone finally not look. Here's the thing, okay? And this is just people always ask me, they say find the right person. The right person is different for everything. What is right for you is different day to day. But everybody, for the most part, wants to be at this age, especially wants to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Seen, heard, and acknowledged. That's it. Because whether you've been alone, whether you've been in a shitty relationship where you were demeaned, okay, you were cheated on, you weren't paid attention to, you were alone, but you were married, and so someone finally pays attention to you. Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. And so you fall and you fall hard. But all I'm saying is, yes, there are people who are genuine who can give you that in real life, but protect yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Protect yourself a little bit. And that doesn't mean go to the extreme. I have a lot of people like we're talking about bookends, right? That's the other one. That's the other side of it. People is like, I don't trust anybody. You have a choice. Here's the thing. We have the control. If there's a punchline on any of this, other than don't fall for scammers, we have the control of how we deliver and receive messages more so than anything. That is it. We can't do a damn thing about whether this man gets it, whether he's a jerk or whatever, a player. We can't do anything about this woman over here who's bitter and, all men suck and I was cheated on by my husband. And so therefore, I'm waiting for all men to cheat. No, you can't do a damn thing about that, but you can control you and how you deliver messages, how you receive them. And it's the same thing with the scammers, and anything. It's just how are you receiving it?
That is sage advice, my friend. I appreciate that. It's probably a good place for us to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the characteristics of the profiles that are being targeted here. And I also want to talk about the specific things that you can do to make you immune to these kinds of catfish scams. So we'll be back in just a minute. If you're enjoying Behind the Swipe, I have two very specific asks of you, and exactly none of them will cost you a nickel. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Here, you'll be the first to know about upcoming episodes and how you can participate, along with the tips and links to the stories and posts about online dating that I've found interesting. To do so, just go to behindtheswipe.com, wait about 5 seconds, and drop your email into the pop-up form. Secondly, we're committed to sharing this podcast with an even wider audience this year. You can help by following us on Instagram at Behind the Swipe Podcast. I truly appreciate your support and encouragement. Now, let's get back to today's show. We are back with Bradley Richardson. Bradley is the creator of Advanced Adulting. He's got a massive presence online. People love listening to Bradley because he pulls no punches. He talks about talking to grown-ass adults in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, right? And tell me a little bit more about what you do, Bradley, how you work with people.
Thank you. The brand is Advanced Adulting, and I help grown-ass adults navigate midlife, all the changes and transformations and shifts that every single one of us experience, but nothing really prepares us for. And my focus is largely on relationships. And that can mean anything. It can mean, of course, dating relationships, but relationships with your friends and with your family and other people and even yourself. And the idea is who you are. I want you to think about it. I mean, who you are at 47, 57 is a dramatically different human being than you were at 27. And we know some of these things that we're going to encounter, but we're never prepared for it. And we all go through it, regardless of your education, your background, where in the world you live. And I'm just going through it with you. I mean, I'm fortunate. I've written 5 books. I've had a couple bestsellers, and I coach and create content and do programs to help people do this because I'm going through it just like y'all. And I think that's the thing is it's not always pretty or sanitary, but it's effective. And that's what I focus on, is the real.
Well, I know that people love that, and I'm deeply appreciative for your friendship and your advice, both in life and in the world of online media. So I appreciate that, my friend. And I am so happy to talk to you about this because not only do you help people who are dealing with the topic of online dating scams, because a lot of the people that you're helping, part of their reinvention in the world is looking for that next relationship, right? That's part of their reinvention. So you've got a ton of experience in this. And we're today talking about catfishing and how you can avoid that. In the first half of the show, we talked about what it is and who these people are. But I'd like to talk some about, in the second half of the show here, about 2 things. One is, what kind of profiles are they really looking to target? And we touched on that a little bit. And then I want to talk about some very specific things that you can do to guarantee that you're not going to have to deal with this. And then we'll wrap up by talking about why that's important.
Perfect. Let's talk about the profiles for a second. Okay. And we alluded to some of this earlier in the show, but they are looking for a certain type of individual demographically, and then certain keywords as well. Primarily, they're looking for someone who is older. Okay. That's been my experience with it. And older can be, hell, I'm 57, but I mean, it can be in your 50s and 60s and above.
Yeah.
But they're targeting people of that age range. They will target men, but a lot of times they target women, more often than not. They target them with different types of messages, but they're targeting older women who are either widowed, recently divorced, and who are outwardly express loneliness and a desire for companionship. That's it. There is someone who, anyone could walk by, read that profile, look at this person and go, okay, they are just someone that just needs to be loved. You water that flower just a little bit and you are good to go. And I think that's it. They look for someone who is just thirsty for love and attention and validation, and they're going to love bomb them and throw that on there and hook them. And that right there is it. Key things in a profile that they're going to be looking for are those words, that description of I'm just seeking my companion. I'm so lonely and I just want someone to do something with. I
Hmm.
just want some, that type of thing. Or, and I tell people, just do not even put that you are widowed, okay, or that someone passed, or anything like that. Honestly, you don't want to be yourself, but you definitely do not want to portray yourself as a lonely victim who's
Yeah.
needing love,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you can spot it 10 miles away, even if you're not a scammer. And those people, that's how that fits their narrative perfectly.
And there's also something that kind of goes hand in hand with this idea of oversharing the personal details of your life in that profile too, right? Because you're giving them fodder for finding
Yeah.
out
I mean,
what those buttons are to push.
well, absolutely. I mean, my kids are grown and I just love spending, I miss my grandkids who are scattered across the country, and it's so tough since, my husband died, or I've been divorced now. And, I don't, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you think about this. If that is you and that's true and that's genuine, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with divulging that after the fact. That's a step 3, step 4, level 4 type thing. Okay. One of the things I do when I coach people and talk to them in programs is this: there's a huge difference between being open and oversharing. Okay. And I think that's the point is, you can be open. You can tell a little bit about your life, a little bit about your personality, a little bit about who you are, but you do not need to overshare and give everything to everybody. Access is earned. Okay. Access is earned. And that's in anything, anybody. And so you don't need to put it all out there. And again, the difference between the Nigerian prince scam of before and this is they make it personal. You know, before it was just about greed. Oh my God. And stupidity. It was, oh my God, you bet my name was on a list from a prince or someone who, if I give them my bank account, they'll send me this money. You're a dipshit. Okay. But they send it to everybody. This one, it's tougher because it's personal, because they're looking at you and they know what those pain points are, and they are going to find it and they're going to create a narrative around that. Okay. And so while you think that you are, because why? Because, well, hey, look, it's behind the swipe, right? What's the deal with swipe? Okay. Are you really getting to know somebody on this? No, you're not. Okay. It is a glorified current game of hot or not. Okay. So you see a picture. Oh, well, look, they're so attractive. Oh, they reached out to me and they're love bombing me and catering me, or just showering me with flattery and stuff. And they see me and I'm validated and acknowledged. And then you're hooked. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah,
So
it's a lot of what you put out there.
so let's talk about the specifics of how you can protect yourself. So you've gotten into this conversation with
Mhm.
somebody that kind of looks too good to be true, but like you're starting to get a little invested here in
Sure.
the potential of this relationship.
Mhm.
And something may be going off that says, oh, well, maybe I should look a little deeper here. You mentioned the reverse image search. Let's talk a little bit more about that, how that works.
It's called Google Lens. There are other reverse image searches out there, but you can put something in there and it will pop up, that image, if that image just appears somewhere else on the web. Okay. That's a number one thing right there. And oftentimes you're going to find the same picture. That's how you find out, oh, they use this person's picture other places. Okay. But I think one of the biggest things is if you go on someone's, uh, I can speak for social media, not the dating apps. But if you go on and most of their images are recent, their profile is recent. I mean, less than a year. All the pictures were put up. I mean, when someone shares something with me, if, hey, Bradley, we see somebody using your pictures up there, I'll go in, I'll look at the account, and sure enough, it's usually less than a year old or was set up in the past couple of months. And, there's 15, 20 pictures and they're all put up there within a matter of 2 days of each other 3 weeks ago. That's it right there. I mean, this isn't rocket science. Okay. Once you know what to look for, Oh, okay. I get it. And it, it sucks because that you prey upon the picture and you think of that. That's why I'm such a huge fan of getting on the phone or better yet, FaceTime or Zoom with somebody quickly. Okay. You can't fake it. You can, but that's a lot of effort to fake that
Yeah.
shit. But that's why I'm saying, hey, I want to talk to you in 10 minutes. You good? Oh, no, I can't. I can't. Oh, if that keeps happening, you got your answer right there.
Yeah.
So,
That should be a red flag, right?
mhm,
Absolutely. So, like, okay, let's say they're hesitant to do the video calls. That amps up your suspicion a little bit. You
mhm,
start doing a deeper dive
mhm,
on their social media
mhm.
sites, right? So you check them out on Facebook. You try to check them out on Instagram. You look up
You
what you
Google them.
can on LinkedIn, right?
Uh huh.
And so that's just normal hygiene. And I think people feel kind of icky about that in early stages, but I would say don't. I mean, even if you don't have any reason to distrust this person, you're still going to want to know.
Yeah. Hey, look, this is like, I know we're talking about online scammers here, but look, let's put it in a different way. This also applies to online liars. All right. So, I mean, I remember talking to people, well, it's great. Okay. It's really great for you to take the high road and say, well, I just want it to happen organically. And I just feel that's intrusive and I shouldn't have to do, no, you shouldn't have to do that. However, come talk to me, and I've had this happen. Come talk to me after you want to stand on your, your high ground and not be able to Google them or look them up, and then you find out and come to me 3 months later when you actually did go on social media and you see pictures of him and his wife at the lake, okay, or him and his wife and the kids, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah.
This is shit you could have figured out in 5 seconds and shut it down right there. But we want to believe the story. You know, and like I said, I mean, it's trust but verify. Trust but verify. That
So
doesn't make
what
you a bad
other,
person.
I mean, obviously, you should never have to get to this point where you have a professional background check, right? I mean, if you're that far in and you're willing to shell out good bucks to have, that should be a non-starter in the relationship anyway, shouldn't it?
Well, I have people who've asked me, "Oh, well, should I do that? Right out of the gate?" You shouldn't. Okay. There's a difference. There's a big difference between Googling somebody, okay, to find out just the basics or just interesting tidbits about their life. Okay. Look, I was a headhunter forever, right? So, I mean, if I'm placing somebody and I'm about to put a CFO or CEO in front of a board or someone for a job, you're damn right. I'm going to do my homework on them. I'm not just going to, oh, hand me your resume and tell me how wonderful you are. I'm going to Google them and find out everything I can so I can know, if everything lines up and more interesting things about them.
Yeah.
It's no different than dating. I know that sounds very unromantic, but you know what? That's it. This is, you know, I hate to
You're
take the
auditioning
romance
for a
out of it.
partnership, right? You're basically interviewing potential partners.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. What's the most valuable thing to you? Oh, my family, my money. Yes, very important. Very important. But your time. It's your time. Okay. And I think that's the thing right there is, are you willing to invest? Everybody's willing to invest their time to, hey, go for a drink, talk a little bit online. Sure. But hey, if I said access is earned, okay, you can't get that time back. Every first date. Why do we date? Why do we date? Okay. Well, I want to find we're in this bullshit illusion that, oh, it's to find my soulmate, to find my betrothed, and to find my partner. Great. Sorry, it's a test drive. It is nothing more than a test drive. Now, there's a tipping point, okay? But your first go round here is nothing more than a test drive to go, okay. Well, do I like each other? Does it match? Do you want to actually drive the car a little more? Do you want to take it for a second drive? Do you want to talk to the dealership again? We're all used cars at this point too. We all have our own mileage and baggage with us. And so that's really it. I mean, and again, I don't want to, look, you know me very well, Hoyt. I'm one of the more optimistic glasses 3/4 full guys anyway, but the stuff like this, hey, you need to control it. You need to control
Yeah.
this. There's nothing wrong with that. Because once you have that stuff down, then it can be remarkably freeing. And then you can open up, then it's the good stuff.
And shutting this down as a possibility in your dating life is just absolutely easy to do, right? If
Mhm.
you know what you're looking for and you get suspicious, pay attention to that suspicion, right? Just pay attention to that.
Pay attention to it, man. Your gut knows. Okay. We call it intuition, and look, I'm kind of woo woo and we have some woo woo friends and all. And you know what? Intuition, yes, there's things that are bigger and spiritual, but also intuition is earned experience. Okay. So if something doesn't feel right, it's because there's right. Okay. You've been in a situation before where it doesn't connect. Ask the question. Here's the thing. Oh, it's so funny. This webinar I'm about to do here in a minute. It's on a program that I'm releasing about, communication. And that's just it. There's no, I know communication in dating doesn't sound sexy, but it is the source of every success or failure. And that's it. And the point is because we miss the red flags and so many people are on their best dating behavior at midlife that we're scripted and we make assumptions, we create narratives in our head. And then it's, we find out 3 weeks or 3 months later, oh, I thought you meant, or well, I just assumed, or no, because we didn't follow up. It's physics. Okay. Again, I know decidedly unromantic here. But hey, it's a physics lesson. What is it? The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So in this situation, it's no different. It's no different. You want to get the answer, ask a very direct question, you know,
Oh,
ask a
absolutely.
direct question.
And that
Yeah.
that absolutely aligns with, I come out of the tech world, right? And the
Hmm.
tech world mantra is fail fast, right?
Right.
You fail fast so you can
Mhm.
get more quickly to the place that you want to get to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if it's a
And-
no, if it's a no and it's a failure, then hey, that actually is a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Oh,
That that just
you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think the takeaway from everything that we've talked about today, Bradley, has been, look, this is very simple to be on the lookout for, pay
Mhm.
attention to, know that you can beat this, and don't let it turn you into a jaded dater, right? You're
Yes.
in control of this. Don't let this
Mhm.
become the thing that keeps you from finding that person online because they're out there, right? And 99% of the interactions that you're going to have are going to be positive interactions.
Mhm.
And they may not be your person, but it can still be a
Mhm.
positive interaction.
Yep. Well, and again, it doesn't speak to you. And even if you've fallen for this, okay, if you learn from it, again, and I love how you say that, and I agree with you 1,000%. Do not allow it to make you become bitter or jaded. Okay. Look, we've all been burned. We've all been screwed over at some point. And maybe we were the ones who actually, burned somebody before. It goes a two-way street. But the point is, you are in more control than you think. And in a situation like this, the scamming part of it, just know, you are in control of once you know what to look for and identify it, you smile, you laugh, you go, okay, fine, move on, and just don't engage in it. The problem is, there's many problems with it, but one of the common ones, and we can kind of wrap up on this is you're not going to change it. Okay. I mean, I get these people, and I did it at first. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. I'm going to get them and, engage them and respond and get in the text battle with them or let them know. Oftentimes you're dealing with a teenage person in, Nigeria or someone else who is a professional scammer who doesn't know any better. And this is their job and it's not personal and you're not going to get anywhere. So what's their best course of action? Don't give that fire any more oxygen or fuel. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Block, delete,
Yep.
block, report, delete, done. Go live your life.
Walk to the light, man. Walk to the light. Bradley, this has been so fun to have you here, man. I really appreciate it. And before we go, remind people how they can find you online.
Oh, you bet. Most everything is at I'm Bradley Richardson. I am Bradley Richardson. And I'm big on Instagram. You can get my website. We've got a community, advanced adulting membership community that we get together once a week for Zoom calls where we talk about issues and lessons like this. I'll bring in guests and have an online group as well. And then that's the best thing right now. And then if you want to know more about not just scamming, this idea of communicating, of how you can get real fast. And so you don't waste your time, effort, or heart then let me know. Either reach out to me and type in the word real, or go on Instagram and see some of the posts and DM me the word real, and we'll hook you up. Get you good stuff.
And all these links will be on the Behind the Swipe show notes page here as well.
Absolutely.
Bradley, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to once again thank Bradley Richardson for sharing his insights on catfishing with us today. Bradley is teeing up some really great stuff for 2024, including his new video course, Reel. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Bradley launch an advanced adulting podcast soon. Welcome to the club, brother. One final thought on catfishing and other scams. Yes, there are bad actors out there on dating sites. Yes, you should exercise common sense in protecting your physical security, your financial life, and your emotional well-being. These should be routine habits, like looking both ways before crossing the street. But please, do not let fear and apprehension become your armor in dating. That same armor that protects you can also serve as a shield that prevents others from seeing your authentic and vulnerable self. And isn't that the very part of you that longs for deep and meaningful connections? More on this in the next episode of Behind the Swipe, as we explore embracing your discomfort zone in online dating with my guest co-host, Cindy Hopper. I'm your host, Hoyt Prisock. Until next time, swipe fearlessly.